Name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Roger L.
And after a brief hiatus, we are back. And we're bringing you this weekend's PBC preview, which has Andy Lee versus Lee-Quillin in what was a middleweight title scrap. We'll get into that. And also we have Lamont Peterson versus Danny Garcia in a welterweight fight.
Catch weight at 143.
Yes. I think they still label it as a junior welterweight bout, even though anything above 140 is welterweight.
But no belts are on the line. Yes,
no belts are on the line. They're just fighting because people wanted to see them fight, which is a good thing. So let's get into it. First, we're going to talk about Lee and Quillin, which was for Andy Lee's IBF belt, correct?
Yes.
IBF belt. Same belt.
Isn't that the same belt that Quillin dropped?
Yes, that is the same belt that Quillin had dropped after Rock Nation won the purse bid for him versus Coraball. And there's this whole back behind the scenes history with Al Heyman and Jay-Z and other things and
bunch of fudgery.
Yeah. So he was gonna fight for that belt, but unfortunately, this is one of the good things about doing this video late. We saw that Quillin missed weight, so they're still going to fight, but it just won't be for the belt. Now, as far as the two fighters that we have, in Lee-Quillin we have a guy who is decent fighter. Doesn't do anything spectacularly. You can tell he's still kind of learning in there. You can kind of see him thinking and things like that on what he worked on and stuff like that. But he gets the job done. He's currently undefeated. High knockout ratio. And he is getting better each time you see him out. That's pretty much all you can ask for a fighter, really. So that's a good thing. This time, unfortunately, he didn't make weight, which could be a number of things. Maybe he's gotten too big for the division. Maybe he wasn't disciplined enough. Who knows? Maybe they'll find out on Saturday when they talk to him and interview him. Now in Andy Lee, we have a guy who has been around for a long time, big amateur career. Started off with Emmanuel Stewart in I think about 2006 or so.
Yeah.
So he lived with Emmanuel Stewart. He trained there at the gym all the way up until his death. And now he's with Adam Booth, who is a really good trainer as well.
But he's just in England, which is only a hop, skip, and a jump, as Andy Lee is Irish.
Yes. And their training camps out of France. You know, he's a world warrior.
Yeah.
Now with Andy Lee, you've got a guy, like I said, good amateur pedigree. Another decent guy. His standout is his right hook. He has a very devastating right hook, as Matt Coraball found out. And what's the other guy that he knocked out before him?
It wasn't Willie Monroe. It was.
It'll come to me.
Yeah.
It'll come to me.
You'll see.
It was a big time knockout. But like I said, very good left hook. Everything else is decent. He's got a good jab and everything. He's a pretty decent boxer, but he's known to get into a scrap. Quillin is not the type to kind of get into a scrap. So I'll let Rob tell you what he feels, how the fight's going to go first.
All right, so Quillin with the high knockout ratio, he's more of a boxer puncher, but he did start late in the game as far as a boxer. He doesn't stop trying, but I think, I'm not going to say he was exposed, but he had a really rough time versus Gabriel Rosado. But then, how many people have an easy time with Gabriel Rosado? Not many. Yeah. Where he was winning, but he just kind of started getting hit with what was it? A long
overhand right. Yeah.
Overhand right, which ain't really what you want to be susceptible to when a guy who has a nasty right hook.
Yeah. And also he was getting thoroughly outboxed by Endon, with the exception that he dropped him 6 times.
Right, which we all know. It's a 10-8 round after that, unless it's just that close of a round that it goes, what, 9-9 or
10-9?
Or 10, yeah. So, I mean,
he has his flaws.
Yeah. The only thing about Andy Lee is he's not an overwhelmingly athletic guy. He's not overly fast. He's not overly strong. He doesn't have super quick feet, but he's tall. He's tall, and he throws a very long punch. So, in my opinion, Quillin needs to fight him on the inside, but fight him carefully. Because again, as Korobov said, when he's punching with you, he has a greater chance of landing that right hand than you do of landing what you want to land.
And I don't really think Quillin is that much of an inside fighter.
And that's the issue. I can't really see him having an easy time from the outside.
Yeah. I'm really struggling to find like a definitive pick for this one. Because like we said, there's not one big thing that either one does well. And both guys have things that the other guy can take advantage of. So this one should be a pretty good scrap. Neither one of them are prone to clinching. So you're going to see some punches thrown. Neither one of them has the best defense. So you're going to see some punches landed. Shins will be tested.
Right.
The question is, who's going to hold up longer? Now, Lee was stopped by, what's my man?
JCC Jr.
And the other, Brian Bear.
Yes.
He did beat him in the rematch, though. But Lee has been stopped before. Quillin has not. We've seen Quillin get buzzed, but not seriously hurt. I think Lee has the right hook that can seriously hurt him. So hopefully we find out how good Peter Quillin's chin is. Or he's improved his defense and he nullifies that right hook. And then he can get a pretty decent decision in. I don't think he's going to be able to knock Lee out.
No. But things are going to get real interesting. Not that they aren't interesting when they are trading, but kind of look for those instances where they're both on the inside or they're both throwing and see who punches with who better.
Yeah. And because of Lee's amateur boxing background, I think it's going to be Lee. So that's going to be his best chance is to punch with Quillin. I think Quillin's best chance is to land that long right hand, using his orthodox style versus a southpaw fighter where that right hand is available. So he's going to have to land it and land it often, and maybe he can at least hurt Lee. It took a lot he got tired against Brian Vera, and that's how he got stopped. And with Chavez Jr., he was just massive.
Yeah.
And pretty much wore him out. Like he
body shots.
Yeah, body shots, and he just got tired of beating his face in, and then he got knocked out. So it's not that Andy Lee doesn't have a chin. That's why I don't think that Quillin will stop him. It would be a good statement if either one stops the other guy.
But I would like to see Quillin just drag him into deep water if he can.
Yeah.
I would say go ahead and concentrate on the body.
I haven't seen Quillin work too much to the body, so hopefully he does that. I think that'd be good for both fighters.
Well, they did have a couple of videos of him really working the heavy bag with the right hook. So I'm only assuming that they will, try to test the body or make that part of the game, like really making that part of the game plan. The only thing is with Chavez Jr. probably came in at about 180 in a 160-pound fight.
Yeah, probably even more than that. That guy's huge. He's fighting it. He skipped super middleweight. That's how big this guy is.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for in Quillin versus Lee. I kind of want to go with Andy Lee, but then again, I don't want to sleep on Quillin either. So there it is. I'm not going to make a solid pick. We'll just enjoy the fight, and we'll analyze it afterwards.
I'm going 8-4 for Quillin.
Rob's going with Quillin. On to the main event. Now we got Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson, and a battle of, I guess, the I-95 corridor. We got
right.
Peterson from D.C., Garcia from Philly. They're fighting in New York. There's going to be a raucous crowd in the building. And then you got Peter Quillin from Brooklyn. There's going to be people there supporting each fighter.
Yeah.
The environment is going to be outstanding.
You're going to see guys who are Irish coming from New York and maybe from up north. You're going to see guys Again, Quillin's from Brooklyn.
Yep.
We're going to see guys coming up from Philly
Yes.
for Garcia or the
or people from the Puerto Ricans
yeah.
in New York. Then you got the people coming from DC. That's not a far drive. On to the fight, though. We got Lamont Peterson. His last win was against Edgar Santana, correct?
Yes.
And then Rod Salka was Garcia's last opponent.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just had to shake my head. I was like,
Yes, that was the fight that they made on Showtime to kind of hype up that fight. And now we got it. Now, we can't really take too much from those fights because both of those guys were overmatched and they were showcase fights and they were taken out like they were showcase fights. Now this is the real deal. You've got the champ, well, the junior welterweight champ in Danny Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
You have a title holder in Lamont Peterson. And their one common opponent, Lucas Matisse. Matisse knocked out Peterson. He lost a decision to Garcia.
and Amir Khan.
Oh yeah, they did both fight Amir Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Garcia knocked out Amir Khan, and Lamont Peterson won a decision against Amir Khan.
Albeit controversial.
Yes, record book still says he won. But we got two really good fighters here. In Peterson, you have someone who's a slow starter who really gets cooking later on in the fight.
About the fourth round. Late third, fourth round.
Yeah. And then with Garcia, you've got a sharpshooter who has decent speed, pretty good power, okay footwork, but he's just one of those guys that gets the job done.
Mm-hmm.
We can't say the same about Peterson because he has lost. He lost to Tim Bradley. He was knocked out versus Matisse. He did manage to get up off the deck twice versus Ortiz to fight to a draw.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also down versus Amir Khan. And he gave Amir Khan hell in that fight.
Oh, yeah.
Whether we thought he won or not, he did give Amir Khan hell. I think he can give Danny Garcia hell too, if he can make it through that beginning onslaught.
There's a real telling fight. If we're talking about Peterson against Garcia, was the Garcia Herrera fight, where Herrera, who's not the biggest puncher in the world, but he does a good job of not only being awkward, but he did a great job of throwing straight punches through Danny Garcia's guard. He did it right up the gut.
Now, Peterson is more of a hooker. He likes to get that earmuff on, get close, and really wear you out to the body. I think he would be well served to do that again tonight. I mean, not tonight, but on Saturday. And try and stay away from Garcia's left hook.
But he can box when he wants to.
Yes.
And he can earmuff, but I would like to see him utilize the jab and constantly moving forward. And continue to constantly move forward. Throw that jab. I mean, he's pretty athletic, and he can muscle like anyone's business, and he throws a mean body shot.
Talking about Peterson, right?
Peterson.
Yes. That's why I say he should really work Garcia's body, get him into that deep water. That's something Matisse didn't do. Eric Morales didn't do it. He was kind of old, but
Yeah.
it's neither here nor there. And who else went to this one? Zab Judah.
Yeah.
Zab.
Who threw some punches right? He threw some straight punches. Again, he was from a southpaw stance.
Yes. Peterson can switch southpaw at times. He doesn't do it often, but he can. But the big thing to look out for as far as Peterson looking out for Garcia is that left hook. I still think Garcia can do enough to win this fight. It's just one thing that really irks me. Even though he lands it all the time and with great power as well, he does not look at his left hook.
And
That burns me up.
And he tends to load up.
Yeah, he loads up and he looks away. He's extremely accurate that way. But if he goes against those smarter fighters, someone is going to bait him into throwing that hook, and he's going to turn his head back around to a right hand. I don't think it's going to happen this Saturday, but maybe when he goes up to 147, it may happen with one of those bigger guys.
And also, I see him, if he is not going to get Peterson out in the first 3 or 4 rounds,
we're going to have a fight on our hands.
It's going to be a fight. And I know he does not push, especially if he has the lead in the last 1 or 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I can see him backing up, and you can almost see that where Herrera was. I mean, he was very accurate versus Herrera, but Herrera was consistently moving forward, wasn't he?
Yeah, pretty much the whole fight.
So if he wants to win this fight, he can't retreat.
Yeah, he's got to back Peterson up, and Peterson is pretty hard to back up because it's powerful, and Victor Ortiz is both powerful and strong, and Peterson was walking to him. So is Tim Bradley. He's very physically strong as well. They had a very tough fight a few years ago. Matisse caught him cold.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, he's a slow starter. Amir Khan caught him cold, but after those first 2 or 3 rounds, I think it started it like midway through round 3, he started landing some hellacious body shots and started giving Amir Khan hell. So, like we said, this goes to like the 4th, 5th round, you're gonna see a fight.
And I can see Garcia knocking him down, but if he can't get him out, you're gonna see that dial just turn, and keep turning up until it turns into a fight.
Yep. And with the Zab Judah fight, we've seen that Garcia will respond in kind. Just, it depends on how long he can do that if Lamont Peterson is landing those hellacious body shots that he can throw. So, I'm going to pick Garcia by decision. I think he can get it done. But I'm not going to count Lamont Peterson out.
Split decision, 7-5. It's going to be somewhere around a 7-5 split decision or majority draw. Or 2 cards in a draw, however you want to.
Yeah, that's a draw.
Yeah.
All right, so
It's
there you
gonna be
have it,
close.
guys. Hope you guys enjoy the fights. If you guys have anything you want to say, you got the comment section below. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to us if you haven't. We got a lot more content coming for you, and you know we got to cover the granddaddy of them all, Mayweather Pacquiao. You can also hit us up on Facebook, CapitalofCombat, Google+, same name. You can hit us up on our email, capitalofcombat@gmail.com. If you have any questions, hit us up. We'll put you in the combat mailbag. Check out the technical toolbox, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is come at a cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.